Hello, and welcome to Zirkzank Says. In the episode before before the previous episode, I started getting onto the topic of being offended. Choosing to be offended is a choice. You choose to be offended. It's down to you. I've been in trouble because I've been a naughty boy. Yeah, I've been in trouble in my university, had disciplinary action taken against me for offending people. And I feel like this is a really bad state to be in, because people can actually choose to be offended by things. They can say that they're offended by things. It's different to when you physically do something to alter somebody or affect their life in a certain way that's actually physical and impactful, not just by doing or saying something that has no actual connection and impact to them. You can basically just say anything. So the way somebody walks could offend me. It could trigger my PTSD. It's like, oh, somebody who used to rape me walked the way that he walks, and it really offended me. Can you get him kicked off the course? Can you have him go to a disciplinary action? He did something that really offended me, and I chose to be offended, so please deal with him. So I've been in trouble for a lot of things that have offended people. The thing is, people don't tell you if you're offending them. They tell an authority figure that you're offending them. So they don't actually let you know that what you're doing is affecting them on a personal level. They tell someone else that it's affecting them on a personal level, and it's not actually affecting them. They're just choosing for it to affect them. And if they are that much of a little pussy ass bitch, then it's like, well, fair enough. If you think I'm calling you specifically a pussy ass bitch for being offended by things, well, and you choose to get offended by that, well, you just exactly perpetuating the point that I'm trying to make. You should be able to just acknowledge the fact that someone said something, you disagree with them, and that's just life. Get on with it. Move on. I got in actual severe trouble, almost kicked off my university course because I called someone a name. I name called him. The guy's name was Akshay, and I called him Ashtray because it sounds like Akshay, and it's like, if you take into consideration that, and they say, oh, you could be kicked, we're going to kick you off the course because what you did was just bang out of order, you really upset somebody, really offended somebody, you've made a personal attack against somebody. It's like, yeah, but at the same time, this guy was getting feisty. He shouted at me, and I responded, he said to me, he's like, oh, you shut up. I said, why don't you shut up, Ashtray? And I was joking. That's the point. I was joking. Then this guy's like, what? Who the fuck do you think you are? Are you talking to me like that? I'll fucking knock you out. And I just laughed at that, because threatening violence against me after I made a joke, obviously, it's a it's a personal attack against him, but is it meant to? Is it actually something that he chooses to be offended by, and does it actually affect him? As opposed to when he makes a threat of physical violence against me, does that actually affect me? No. He's threatened to hurt me. Does that matter to me? No. He's not going to hurt me. I'm not hurt by him saying that he'll hurt me. If he actually physically hurts me, that's completely different. But he didn't do that. I didn't physically hurt him. He didn't physically hurt me. There's no issue. But for some reason, in that situation, I was almost kicked off the course. So that's a bit ridiculous. Fast forward again. I've said that, and I think this is funny. I think that the whole idea of shooting up a school is funny. If you take away the tragedy of people dying, innocent people who have done nothing wrong are being killed, that's disgusting. Take that out of it and it's fucking hilarious. The concept of it, if you take away the suffering and the innocent people dying, it becomes comedy gold. Like, the same with terrorism. Just the idea of 9/11, people flying aeroplanes into a building, that's slapstick. That's like slapstick comedy. Take away the millions of people and the families who suffered, take that out of it. You have to take that out of it, and then you can look at it as if it's comedic. But if you can't mentally process a situation without taking away the actual bad parts about it, don't complain to me, because it's not my fault that you can't do that. So I get in trouble for making jokes about 9/11, get in trouble for making jokes about shooting up a school. At one point, somebody even reported me, and this is somebody I know, multiple people have said this, but somebody I know specifically has said that, oh, by the way, Zirkzank wants to shoot up the school. Can we get two things straight here? First of all, no I don't. Second of all, how the fuck could I? Third of all, if I was going to shoot up a school, do you think I would really go around telling people that I'm going to do it? You're not adding things up in your head. It doesn't make sense. You can't get a gun in England. I don't want to actually do it. It's just a joke. It's like saying, I wonder which of my New Rocks I'm going to wear to the school shooting, or what colour trench coat should I wear? Should I wear a face mask? Or, with my fingerless gloves, should I wear fingerless gloves or full-fingered leather gloves to the school shooting? I want to look good when I shoot up the school. It's a joke. It's like you're making fun of the person who did it. You're not making fun of the tragedy of people dying. You're making fun of the people who do it. It's like with terrorism and 9/11. You make fun of the fact that I make fun of the fact that people are like, oh, 9/11. I make fun of those people. I make fun of the terrorists. I do not make fun of the victims of it, because that's the worst possible thing that could ever happen to them in their entire life. The victims who had died and the victims of family members who died in 9/11, don't make fun of that. That just makes you an asshole. But make fun of all the other aspects of it. That's fine. If you actually try and restrict yourself and censor yourself and decide to say, well, I'm not going to make jokes about terrorism, then you've actually reached a point where terrorists win. It's kind of like in Harry Potter, where you can't say Voldemort, and you're not supposed to speak the name of Voldemort. It's like, well, at that point, Voldemort wins. It's like, I don't know, people choosing to be offended by things. It's like the word nigger, for example. That has been a massive thing recently with iDubbbz, saying that the whole say nigger, and it's like that's another one of those like situations where you've got something that people are choosing to be offended by. It's like, I get if you're upset by it, if you or a relative of yours was oppressed and like whipped and beaten and enslaved by somebody in like society, the society that you live in, repeatedly called nigger and like beaten disrespectfully, whipped and enslaved. But if you don't know anyone like that, you're not that, and there's no context of that whatsoever. It's just fucking words. It's just phonetic sounds. And you're choosing actively to be offended by something that has no significance to you. Like, I almost get offended by the fact that people who have no emotional attachment to it get offended by it. It's like, if you have no involvement or actual connection or relevance to the word nigger and you get offended by it, like, sort your fucking life out. It's not something that you should be feeling that about, because it doesn't affect you. It's like, if it doesn't affect you, why are you choosing to be offended by it? It's like you want to be a victim of just something. You want to be a victim of anything, and you just choose literally anything that pops up to be offended by. I really don't like this mentality. This has caused trouble for me again when I was going through a revolving door, and can you believe this? Someone got annoyed at me for slamming a revolving door on him. That sounds like the punchline of a bad joke, but it's not even a joke. I've been put in like disciplinary action again by my university for slamming a revolving door. You can't you can't slam a revolving door. But this guy took offense to it for me opening a revolving door a little bit too fast for him. He caught his foot in the door because he wasn't moving as fast as I was moving. No malicious intent. So there's a guy behind me in a revolving door. I'm pushing it to get into the building that I'm walking into. He catches his foot on it, bangs his head on it a little bit, and now he's chosen to be offended by the fact that I slammed a revolving door into him. Like, okay, I physically affected somebody and he's chosen to report it, but I feel like this is rooted a lot deeper than the fact that he couldn't get through a fucking door. It's more to do with the fact that culture has reached a point where people think that they can just report anything bad that happens to them and have someone else deal with it. It's like he's taken all the responsibility away from himself and then just left me with the punishments for it. I don't feel like I deserve that. I feel like, if anyone, he should deserve it just for thinking that I could get in trouble for what I did. But I don't think anyone should have to suffer for doing things like that, for offending somebody, for upsetting somebody, for hurting somebody's feelings, hurting somebody physically. If it's an accident, it's an accident. Like, get over yourself. If you hurt somebody's feelings through saying something offensive, just like, do it more. Like, they deserve it. If they're getting offended by things, they deserve it. I was in a disciplinary meeting and the guy said, like, oh, I think you're very wrong with that. Listen, guy, I didn't say this at the time, and I probably shouldn't even say this now on video, but I strongly feel like if someone being offended, it's their choice to be offended. If they want to be a victim, they're choosing to be a victim, you can easily just detach yourself from that victimhood and choose not to be offended by it. It's a choice. Being offended is a choice. And I really don't want to censor myself just because it might hurt other people's feelings. It's like, where do you draw the line on how strongly you censor yourself? It's very, very difficult to say where you draw the line. So basically, don't draw a line. That's the way I see it. As iDubbbz said in his very recent video, and this is what I've always thought, that either everything's okay or nothing's okay. You can't just pick and choose where the line is because it's different for everybody. Everything, you just say anything. Why does it matter? Words coming out of your mouth, that doesn't matter. That's different to going up to somebody and punching them, because, you know, that's physically enacting something onto somebody and they have to deal with the fact that they've just been punched. But saying something to somebody is just completely non-issue, especially when it's not directed at anyone specifically. Like, you're just making a general comment about something like, oh yeah, people who say this need to kill themselves. It's like, well, you know, if somebody chooses to be offended, like, hey, I'm part of that group, I'm part of a group, say, oh, everyone who likes anime needs to kill themselves. If I said that, and I said that as a joke, or even if I said that seriously, anyone who got offended by it should actually kill themselves. And you say, hey, I'm in that group of people who got offended, or I'm in that group of people who like anime, and you're telling me to kill myself. I don't like that. I don't like a thing that you just said. You should be punished for that. It's like, when did we get to a point in society where that's actually just how things work? People feel as if getting offended is a right to is something to be corrected. It's like, the only way you correct it is by just saying, fuck, what does it matter? It's just one guy saying a thing. It doesn't bother me. That's how you deal with it. You don't deal with it by getting back at them maliciously. That just makes you a dick. And being a dick is worse than somebody who goes around saying things that are offensive just because they choose not to censor themselves on behalf of everyone around them. Like, you can't please everybody all of the time. So why try to limit what you say based on that principle of like, ooh, don't want to hurt anyone, don't want to hurt anyone. Of course you don't want to hurt anyone, but by saying just words, you shouldn't be able to hurt anyone. And if you do, and if you genuinely think what you did was a mistake, you can apologize for it. If somebody comes up to you and says, what you did was really offensive, I get you that you were just making a joke, but you really hurt my feelings, and I really don't like that. And if you care about this person, you just say, well, I didn't mean to. I'm sorry that you got offended. I didn't mean to hurt you. You know, case solved. Case completely, no issue there whatsoever. But it's just not like that anymore. Yeah, so that's my rant on that. And it's not even a rant. It's just me saying the most logical thing about it is that don't be offended by things. Just fucking turn your care switch off. Get over yourself. Stop being a fucking pussy. You know. It's not difficult. It's really not difficult to just choose to not be offended. You have the choice. I could choose to not say anything, but where's the fun in that? I want to have fun. I want to enjoy my life. You should want to enjoy your life too. Choosing to be offended detracts from your ability to enjoy life. So don't fucking do it. Don't fucking get offended. You cunts.